Hi everyone, welcome back to She's Always On, here with my girl Kianna Smith, episode 3. Today it's just us two. We're chit-chatting, and I'm actually in a different country. As Kianna knows, I'm assistant coaching the national team in Kosovo, so we're coordinating here 9 hours apart. All right, so first thing we actually wanted to talk about is how exhausting the WNBA media has been.
Oh my gosh.
I can't even keep up.
I can't. And I feel like it's a new thing every single day. But you know whose fault it is? Like, it's not even Twitter, because Twitter is going to be that. Like, people have their own opinions. They're, you know,
Yeah.
free to speak on whatever they want. But it's sports media that's the issue.
Right.
People pushing the agenda that the people pushing the agenda that Caitlyn has been targeted, they
Yeah.
haven't watched all 11 of the games. I guarantee you that.
Well, that's
And
the thing. It's crazy. It's like people are saying, yeah, she's targeted, but it's like the WNBA has always been physical.
yeah, and it's like they also haven't watched all the other games in the league to understand the game as well. Like, they don't see how the physicality for Caitlyn could be because she's being face guarded hard, or she
Right.
has to be trapped hard because she's such a good passer, or she has to be picked up 94 feet.
Yeah.
And they don't see Asia Wilson getting beat up every game, Skylar Diggins getting smacked in the face,
Yeah.
Benigela Laney and Marina Mabry getting into it. Like,
Yeah.
they all they see is the clips of Caitlyn and complain. Obviously, Kennedy's Carter clip was uncalled for, but I
Yeah.
just wish the WNBA could be consumed like every other sport, for the sport, for the hard work that these women put in, for how talented they are, and even talking about the bad side of the game too, like how the Mystics haven't won a game, or what Caitlyn needs to do to, get better. But no, we just talk about the intersectionality of race and gender, and it's just so tiring to hear that every single day.
I agree. And the thing too is, like, we're in 2024 and we're dealing with race, the gender inequality, all this stuff, and it's like, I think people, it's obviously what Caitlin Clark has done is amazing and so awesome for women's basketball, and it's going to keep growing. And I know she's aware of that, and she's also credited those who came before her, right, who paved the way that she's able to do this. But like, I always think back to also, we talked about Kennedy Carter. Like, what she did obviously was uncalled for.
Right.
But I forgot who said this. I think maybe it was, I don't know who said it, but I think she would have done that to anybody. Like, I think Kennedy Carter's just that type of
Yeah,
competitive player.
yeah.
Um,
I played
and
with her. I was her teammate.
yeah, you played with her, so you get it. Like, you're like, you were like, I was getting beat up all the time. Like,
That's what I'm
she's
saying.
a competitive player.
That's exactly what I'm saying, though. People need to watch the entirety of the league before they
Yeah,
make statements like this, because, like, when you watch the NBA and Draymond Green elbows somebody in the chest,
like,
like, that's Draymond Green.
yeah,
Like, you're not blowing it out of proportion saying that Draymond Green is trying to target this one player. No, it's just that's the type of player he is.
yeah,
And if people were to watch the entirety of the league, maybe they get a better understanding that no, it's not just Caitlyn. Like, people are getting hit every single day.
right.
And it because of how talented Caitlyn is, that's just how people not obviously shoving her in the backcourt, but picking her up 94 feet, like chucking her on a face guard, bumping her, stuff like that. And so I hope people can get to a point where we're not talking about race and gender, but we're talking about, you know,
How
the
good they are.
how great they are.
Yeah.
We're talking about Connecticut starting out 9-0. We're talking about Asia Wilson, how unbelievable. She's the best player in the world right now. Like, I wish we would just focus on these things.
I agree. And you mentioned Connecticut being
Yeah.
9-0. Let's tap into that. We got to unpack that one because it's been so impressive to watch what they've been able to do. And obviously, since I've been covering a lot of their games, something Stephanie White always says, it's like, yeah, we have a 9-0 start, but we're always taking it one possession at a time, one game at a time. She's like, honestly, as much as people are talking about it and how great it is, but she's like, we're not even close to where we want to be. So that's
Yeah.
the scary part. Like, she's
Scary
like, we're not close to where we want to be, and we're talking about how they're doing so well and their
Yeah.
ratings defensively, offensively, like their efficiency. So What are
Um,
your thoughts on them?
yeah, I mean, I think well, I did looked it up, and the last 3 teams to start the season 9-0 all went to the finals. 2 won the championship and 1 lost in the finals. And Connecticut has been in the finals or the semifinals the past 5 seasons.
Yeah.
So, is this their season to finally break that ceiling and win a championship?
I think too, yes, I think it probably is because they have all the pieces to do it. It's just a matter of, I mean, obviously we both know playing this, you played in the Final Four, and on those type of games, I feel like there comes like a little bit of luck, right? You need some luck, you need things to kind of go your way, and you just don't know what can happen. And I feel like they definitely can do it. Especially, I know, you know, they have all these pieces. People, they have a lot of depth on their bench, and Mariah Jefferson mentioned this too. She was just like, I haven't won. She's won a championship at every level, basically. She's won, but she's got 4 natties. Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy. She's like, I really want a WNBA championship. And I feel like no better team and coach to kind of lead that team, Stephanie White, and what she's done with their offense and the system that they run. It's very free flowing. If I feel like it gives players like Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner to really play to their potential. And DeWanna Bonner this year, I feel like she's playing that 3 where last year she was kind of out of position, playing
Yeah.
that 4 or
Without
5 because they
yeah.
didn't have Bree Jones. And she's just attacking a lot more. She's drawing a lot of attention, kicking it out, hitting some threes. And I know her shooting percentage hasn't been the best, but she is so clutch in clutch moments, which I know you touched on them being clutch.
Yeah, I think them being clutch has a lot to do also with their defense. They know how to get stops in the heat of the moment, and I think that speaks to a lot of their experience.
Yeah.
Obviously, AT, Dewana Bonner, Bree Jones have played a ton of games in the league, but also Dejanay, Ty, Liv, those people they've spent the last couple seasons with AT, with DB, so they know the expectations these vets have, and they're able to show that experience down the stretch when it's a tight game. They need to get a stop. They need to get a certain shot at a certain time. So I'm excited to see where Connecticut takes this team. I know there's the Minnesota Lynx who've been playing well, the Aces who've added um, Tiffany Hayes, and New York, who's obviously a championship contender. Like there's a lot of competition, but I think this could be the year for them.
I do want to ask you this because obviously, I don't know if our viewers know this, but Kiana, you were in their training camp with the Connecticut Sun. What do you feel is like something you learned from there, or just like being a part of those 2 weeks? I know you said how smart Stephanie White was, and just like you've picked up on a lot of things, but yeah, what did you feel like you kind of learned the
Yeah,
most?
I think I learned how to make decisions in 1 second. For them, it's like next action, next action, next action. Like if you don't have a shot or a pass, it's the next action right away, right away, right away. And I feel like before then, I didn't realize, even at the Sparks, like I didn't realize how quick you had to make
Mm.
decisions in the league until I played with ATDB and them in camp. And the expectations that Coach White and that coaching staff has for them defensively, it's you could tell that it's championship or bust for them. So as somebody who played in their camp, I'm really excited. I'm rooting for them. I hope they win it this year. Yeah, so
Yeah. I do want to touch on also just because last year they were so close, and then we're talking about this year, can they get it done?
mm-hmm.
The biggest difference, I want to talk about the biggest difference. I feel like it's been defensively, and you've mentioned, we talked about that. What about their defense that kind of impressed you?
Well, they're holding their opponents to 69 points a game, and
Yeah.
they're leading the league in defensive rating. So it's evident that their defense wins games. And I mean, we hear this all the time: defense wins championships, but they have it.
Yeah.
They have it all from offense to defense. They have it all. So
I think too their defensive scouting, just when I was covering the Atlanta game for Connecticut, and they hone in so much in the details. Like for example, Atlanta was giving up like 1.5 points per possession in the post, or whatever, whenever they had the ball in the post. I feel like they just do such a good job of playing players' tendencies. And I know Stephanie White always locks in on that, and she's like, we need to play better to
yeah,
pit the player's strength or weakness, whatever it is. But I do think one thing they've been struggling with, which I think they could probably clean up, is transition defense, and also they turn it over sometimes in transition. I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of
Yeah.
times they're pushing the ball up the court, trying to play quicker pace, but they just kind of fumble the pass or don't get a possession. So sometimes those are empty possessions. So imagine if they could kind of clean those little things up. It's nothing like major. Like these things are
Yeah.
all that can be fixed.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I also want to add to what you're saying about their defense, about their scouting. I think what makes their scouting elite too is they can switch everything.
Yeah.
They
They're
can
so
do
versatile.
exactly. They can do so many options. They can hedge a ball screen, switch it, go under. They have all options to them because AT and even Bree Jones, they can guard the ball pretty well. And
Yeah.
they help each other so well. If somebody gets beat, that rotation is coming quick and everyone rotates on the backside so fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're
And
fun.
that's been an area of improvement for them because last year, even Stephanie White mentioned this, is just she felt like they were put in rotations a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So that forced them having to overhelp. And then obviously teams were finding gaps in areas and
Mm-hmm.
lanes to score. But now this year, you can tell that the one-on-one defense has gotten better. So it's not forcing that second line of defense to step up
Yep.
and there being miscommunication. Maybe it happens sometimes that somebody's not there for help, but I feel like majority of the time it's looked a lot better on the defensive end.
Mm-hmm. No, I
Um,
100% agree.
but
But
who?
go ahead.
No, no, you go, sis.
I was gonna say, obviously, the Aces are somebody that can give them a run for their money, and specifically because right now, Asia Wilson is quite literally unguardable. What have you
It's
seen from her?
bro. It is so different. Like what she's been doing is just. I feel like this year she's playing with a chip on her shoulder of kind
Mhm.
of like I want to. I feel like sometimes she's maybe underrated. Even last year, maybe people weren't putting respect on her name, no matter how good she was doing. I remember Alyssa Thomas has also felt this way. I feel like there's just this different mindset about her. When she's playing inside the paint, she's just so efficient around the rim. And I mean, when you have a taller player who can knock down outside shots, that
Yeah,
15-footer, it really helps stretch out the defense. And it's like, okay, especially if you got a slower post player on you, like that's hard to guard.
right. Well, let's look at what Asia Wilson's been doing recently. So obviously, like you said, she gets to this mid post area, and the fact that she's shooting step backs
Crazy.
and crazy. So here she goes. You try to at Monique Billings here. She tries to keep her in the middle between her and the basket.
Right.
But for
And
somebody that can just shoot over you, it's pretty hard to guard.
and
Like
also if you notice when she gets into the paint too, she's stopping off 2 feet and is doesn't predetermine her shot and she's very poised and calm and it's like that experienced leadership that you see. She's like, I'm gonna pump fake pivot and do all that.
right, like right here even. You try to double her, but it's hard to double in the middle of the floor. And
Yup.
Asia is such a good passer. And who do you have outside? Kelsey Plum.
Knocking
Jack.
them down.
I mean, this is crazy.
Also, when you have a post player who can really pass the ball, that is so important because I don't think people realize sometimes when you, I don't know, Kiana, maybe you've played with your teammates like this sometimes in the past. When you throw it inside the paint, like that thing is not coming out.
Nope.
But she does such a good job of reading the defense. She sees the double coming to her. She's making that extra pass, kicking it out. It's not a dark hole in there.
Yep. And Becky Hammond is running staggers for her. Like this is insane. You're
Yeah,
running
like come on.
staggers for your five, and most fives have never defended coming off a stagger, so they're going under both of
Right.
them, and she just knocks it down.
Because you're not used to, as a five, having to come all the way out there.
Exactly, exactly. And we haven't even talked about this post game. This is her bread and butter. It's nearly unguardable. She's getting to the basket every time.
That spin move.
Here's, like you said, just a great passer. I don't
Yep.
know. I don't know what you do. I don't know how you guard that.
And do you think New York Liberty is not New York Liberty, I'm sorry, Las Vegas Aces are a team that would probably could be in the finals with Connecticut? Because I feel like
A
as much
hundred.
as we're talking about Connecticut, but here's another thing too. Let's not sleep on Chicago Sky. I feel like for some reason, I feel like has your coach ever said this in college when you it's like your season is four seasons kind of in the beginning, your preseason. You want to be great by the time it's
You want to
whatever
peak, right?
March. You want to peak right at the right time. So I feel like I don't know, Chicago Sky, call me crazy. I'm gonna say this right now. I feel like you got to watch out for them. I feel like they're a very sneaky team by the time come finals. Like you just don't know. I feel like they're starting to put their pieces together. I feel like that is also a potential threat. I
Yeah.
know maybe unpopular opinion, but
No, I see where you're coming from for sure. They have a ton of
you hear
talent.
me, you see me.
I see you. I see you. They have a ton of talent. I just question sometimes their shot selection. Sometimes
Yes.
I think because they have so many one-on-one players that
Yes.
they can get sometimes a little questionable in their shot selection, and their
I
offense
agree.
can get a little bit stagnant because they have so many talented one-on-one pieces. Marina Mabry can take people off the bounce, Kennedy Carter, Dana. Um, so we'll see how that all forms together as
Yeah.
the season goes on, but definitely they can for sure be a potential contender. But they'll have to see Connecticut before they reach the Aces. So
Yeah. I'm
we'll see.
excited. It's fun.
Yeah, yeah. But right now, the Commissioner's Cup is going
Mm.
on. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people don't really understand what it
How
is, how it works. Do you want to explain that for our
Yeah,
new?
I feel like the best way to kind of put into terms of like if people have been watching the NBA and you guys saw the in-season tournament, I feel like this is another way to spark up in-season competition, right? It's from June 1st to the 13th, and teams play 5 Commissioner Cup games. And basically, if you win, Connecticut right now is leading. So is New York Liberty. They're both undefeated.
Yeah,
Minnesota Lynx are also in their conference, but they all play their in-conference teams. And the final teams, whoever wins, will get a $500,000 prize. So that's
some
some
good
nice
money right
extra
there.
cash there. Yeah.
That's some good
Speaking of
money.
extra cash, did you see the investigation that Las Vegas Aces had? I'm curious to see what is coming out of that and if it's really going to be declined or something like that.
I haven't heard a lot about it since, but just give them girls their money. These people are
Right.
trying to invest in our game, invest in the league, and
I
I just
agree.
don't understand why it's a problem.
Right. No, I agree with you. And then to wrap things up a little bit here, I do want to shed some light on Ms. Doris Burke. Especially I think coming from us two who are breaking into this industry of sports broadcasting and someone who has paved the way and we both look up to,
Yeah,
she is the goat of goats. And to be the first woman calling men's championships, finals, all of that stuff, I think it is so amazing. And I don't know, I feel motivated just watching her and listening to her.
100%. To even know that calling a NBA game as a woman is something possible for us. I'm just so grateful for Doris,
Yeah.
and I every time I watch one of the games she's calling, I love it. She's so insightful.
Mm-hmm.
She's the goat of goats. She's a queen, and I'm just so grateful for all of the barriers she's broke for us to step into this broadcasting career.
What's more amazing to me too is how much respect she's earned from the players. And
Mhm.
even JJ Redick has spoke on it. Is just she said it herself because I think someone asked her the question of, you know, she talks about having imposter syndrome all the time. And you're calling a men's game, and she's like, I'm very well aware that I didn't play in the NBA. Or
Right,
people say like, you don't get it because you were not an NBA player. But she was like, when I started earning that respect from players and players publicly commenting on it, I think that's crazy, like amazing,
yeah,
because you see that the men are also starting to support women in this industry
yeah,
and kind of pushing them forward. Because at the end of the day, like if you have the guys and the players who play this game and eat, sleep, breathe, and they know it's the best of the best,
right.
that is like the biggest compliment you can get.
Right, absolutely. And she talks a lot about also her confidence just going up and down. And for
Yeah,
some
girl,
as
I feel that.
right, as somebody who's as talented as she is in what she does, you would think that she's been perfect her whole career. But
Right.
it just gives people, motivation to even though you mess up here and there,
Yeah,
it's fine. You're gonna be
I
fine.
agree.
And I'm just so grateful for Doris and happy that she got that opportunity.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, all right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to episode 3 here. Stay tuned for next week. We will be back at it.